This is the Archivist. Tonight we open a scroll from the warm dusk of a forgotten year. We step softly into a world where the ovens crackle, the broom sings across stone, and nothing waits for us but time. In the hour when night still holds the city in its gentle embrace, when the streets of Rome lie empty save for the occasional patrol of the vigiles and the soft padding of cats hunting among the shadows, there exists a world within the world, a place of marble and water, of steam and silence, where the rituals of cleansing have been practiced since the days when the 7 hills were young. I find myself at the threshold of such a place, a public bathhouse that serves the citizens of a prosperous quarter, its walls built of travertine that glows pale even in the pre-dawn darkness. The year is somewhere in the reign of the good Emperor Antoninus, when the empire stretches from the mists of Britannia to the sands of Egypt, when Roman engineering has reached heights that will not be seen again for 1,000 years. The side entrance opens with the faintest whisper of bronze hinges, well-oiled and maintained with the care that Romans lavish upon all things mechanical. Through this humble doorway steps a figure I have come to know in these quiet hours. Gaius, though he is known to most simply as the sweeper, the one who tends the floors before the world awakens to its daily ablutions. He is a freedman, perhaps 40 years of age, his hair beginning to show the silver that speaks of decades spent in service. His tunic is simple but clean, dyed the practical brown that hides the dust of his labors, belted with a cord that has known many washings. Upon his feet are sandals of sturdy leather, their soles worn smooth by countless journeys across these same stone floors. The bathhouse receives him like an old friend returning home. Here, in the pre-dawn hush, the great chambers lie empty and expectant, their marble surfaces cool to the touch, their pools still and mirror-smooth. The air holds that particular quality of spaces that have been heated and cooled in endless cycles, a mineral richness that speaks of water drawn from deep springs, of stone that has absorbed and released the warmth of countless bodies, of oils and unguents that have perfumed these halls for generations. Gaius pauses just inside the entrance, his hand still resting on the bronze handle. I watch as he breathes in the sleeping air of the bathhouse, that distinctive scent of wet marble and old incense, of olive oil that has soaked into wooden benches, of the faint mineral tang that rises from the pools even when they lie undisturbed. It is the smell of a place dedicated to the care of the human body, to the Roman conviction that cleanliness is not merely practical but sacred. The entrance hall stretches before us, its floor a masterwork of geometric mosaic, tiny tesserae of marble and glass, arranged in patterns that speak of mathematical precision and artistic vision. Even in the dim light that filters through the high windows, the colors seem to glow with their own inner fire. Deep blues that echo the Mediterranean sky, warm golds that capture the essence of summer wheat, pure whites that rival fresh snow on distant mountains. Along the walls, niches hold bronze lamps that will later be lit to guide the evening bathers, but now they stand dark and patient, their wicks trimmed and ready. Between them, frescoes depict scenes of aquatic life, dolphins dancing through stylized waves, sea nymphs trailing garlands of seaweed, Neptune himself rising from foam-capped waters with his trident raised in blessing rather than threat. Gaius moves toward the storage alcove where his tools await, his footsteps echoing softly in the vast space. The sound seems to awaken the building itself, as if the marble walls and vaulted ceilings have been waiting for this first sign of human presence to begin their own daily transformation from sleeping monument to living space. The broom he retrieves is a thing of simple beauty, bundled twigs of birch bound tightly to a handle of seasoned oak, worn smooth by his hands and those of the sweepers who came before him. The bristles are still supple despite their age, still capable of the gentle whisper that will soon fill these chambers as he begins his daily ritual of preparation. Beside the broom stands a bronze bucket, its surface green with the patina of age, but still sound, still capable of holding the water he will use to dampen the dust before sweeping. A smaller vessel holds olive oil mixed with aromatic herbs, not for cleaning, but for the final polishing of the bronze fixtures that must gleam when the first customers arrive. As he gathers his tools, I notice how the quality of darkness in the bathhouse is beginning to change. Not yet the approach of dawn, that is still an hour or more away, but something subtler, a gradual lessening of the night's grip on the world. Through the high windows that ring the main hall, the stars seem slightly less brilliant, as if they too are preparing for their daily retreat before the advancing sun. The silence in the bathhouse is not empty, but full of potential, of the day's activities that will soon transform these quiet chambers into bustling centers of social life. I can almost hear the echoes of conversations yet to come, the splash of bodies entering the pools, the scrape of strigils against skin, the laughter of friends meeting for their daily ritual of cleansing and gossip. But for now, in this suspended moment between night and day, there is only Gaius and his broom, only the marble floors that await his attention, only the ancient rhythm of preparation that has been performed in places like this since the first Roman learned to channel hot water through hypocaust systems and create these temples of cleanliness. He tests the broom against the floor, a gentle experimental sweep that produces the softest whisper of sound. The bristles find their familiar rhythm against the stone, and I can see in his posture the settling that comes when a craftsman takes up his tools, when the body remembers its work and prepares for the meditation of repetitive motion. The bathhouse waits, the city sleeps, and in this moment of perfect stillness, before the first sweep begins the day's transformation, I feel the particular peace that comes from witnessing the beginning of something essential. The daily preparation of a space dedicated to the care and comfort of the human body, the continuation of rituals that connect this morning to countless others, stretching back through the centuries of Roman civilization. The first stroke of the broom across marble creates a sound that seems to awaken the very stones themselves, a gentle whisper that speaks of bristles finding their purpose, of dust being gathered and guided, of floors being prepared for the feet that will soon traverse them. Gaius begins in the apoditerium, the changing room where citizens will later disrobe and store their garments in the wooden lockers that line the walls like silent sentinels. The floor here is a marvel of Roman engineering and artistry, marble slabs fitted so precisely that the joints are barely visible, their surfaces polished to a subtle sheen that will provide secure footing even when wet from the steam that drifts in from the heated chambers beyond. Each slab bears the subtle variations that mark natural stone, veins of darker mineral threading through the pale base, tiny fossils that speak of ancient seas, the occasional crystal inclusion that catches what little light filters through the high windows. I watch as Gaius works with the methodical patience of someone who has performed this task countless times, yet still finds satisfaction in its completion. His movements are economical, efficient, each stroke of the broom covering exactly the right amount of floor. the bristles angled to gather the dust and debris that has settled during the night hours. There is a rhythm to his work that seems to match some internal metronome, a steady cadence that transforms labor into something approaching meditation. The dust that rises in the wake of his broom catches what little light penetrates the chamber, creating tiny galaxies of motes that dance briefly in the air before settling again. Most of it is the inevitable accumulation of a building that sees hundreds of visitors each day, particles of skin and hair, fragments of cloth, the fine grit that sandaled feet carry in from the streets of Rome. But there are other elements too, traces of the oils and unguents used in the bathing rituals, microscopic fragments of the marble itself worn away by countless footsteps, even grains of sand from distant provinces carried here in the folds of travelers' garments. As he sweeps, the sound echoes softly through the chamber, bouncing off the vaulted ceiling and marble walls to create a gentle susurrus that seems to fill the space with purposeful activity. The acoustics of the room, designed to carry the voices of bathers in pleasant conversation, now amplify the whisper of the broom into something almost musical, a soft percussion that marks the beginning of another day in this temple of cleanliness. The wooden benches that line the walls await their daily polishing, their surfaces worn smooth by the bodies of countless Romans who have sat here to remove their togas and tunics, to prepare themselves for the ritual of bathing. The wood is olive, chosen not only for its beauty, but for its resistance to the moisture that pervades these chambers. Each bench bears the subtle patina of age and use, the gentle darkening that comes from years of contact with oil-anointed skin. Above the benches, bronze hooks wait to receive the garments of the day's bathers. These too will require attention, a gentle polishing to remove the tarnish that forms in the humid air, a careful inspection to ensure that none have worked loose from their moorings. The Romans take pride in the maintenance of their public spaces, understanding that the condition of these facilities reflects upon the civilization that created them. From the apoditerium, Gaius moves into the frigidarium, the cold room where bathers will later immerse themselves in pools of unheated water, their bodies shocked into alertness by the contrast with the warm chambers they have left behind. Here the marble takes on a different character, still beautiful, still precisely fitted, but somehow cooler in both temperature and appearance, as if the stone itself understands its role in the bathing ritual. The pool dominates the center of the chamber, its waters dark and still in the pre-dawn gloom. Fed by the same aqueducts that bring fresh water to every corner of Rome, the pool is a marvel of hydraulic engineering, constantly refreshed by a gentle current that enters through bronze fittings disguised as decorative elements, exits through drains so well designed that they create no visible disturbance in the water's surface. Around the pool's perimeter, the floor requires special attention. The marble here is often wet from the splash of entering bodies, from the water that drips from bathers as they emerge, from the occasional overflow when the pool is particularly crowded. Gaius works carefully in these areas, his broom angled to guide the water toward the drains that will carry it away, his movements precise to avoid creating puddles that might cause a bather to slip. The walls of the frigidarium are decorated with frescoes that celebrate the cooling properties of water. Scenes of mountain streams cascading over rocks, of springs bubbling up from hidden sources, of nymphs dancing in forest pools dappled with sunlight. Even in the dim pre-dawn light, these images seem to radiate a sense of coolness, of refreshment, of the restorative power of cold water on heated skin. As he works, I notice how Gaius's breathing has settled into the rhythm of his sweeping, how his body has found the pace that will allow him to complete his circuit of the bathhouse without exhaustion. This is not hurried work, but patient work, the kind of labor that understands its own importance in the larger scheme of Roman life. Without his daily preparation, the bathhouse could not function as the social and hygienic center it is meant to be. The tepidarium awaits beyond an archway decorated with carved acanthus leaves, their stone foliage so realistic that they seem to stir in the gentle air currents that move through the building. This warm room serves as a transition between the heat of the Caldarium and the coolness of the frigidarium, a space where bodies can adjust gradually to temperature changes, where the shock of contrast is gentled into something more comfortable. Here the air already holds a hint of warmth, though the hypocaust system that heats the building has not yet been stoked to its full intensity. The floor, raised on small pillars to allow heated air to circulate beneath, radiates a gentle warmth that speaks of the fires that burned through the night, banked but not extinguished, ready to be coaxed back to full life when the day's heating begins in earnest. The sweeping here requires a different technique, for the warm air creates subtle currents that can scatter dust rather than gather it. Gaius adjusts his method accordingly, his strokes shorter and more controlled, his movements designed to work with the air rather than against it. The bristles of his broom whisper across the marble with a slightly different tone here, as if the stone itself responds to the warmth that flows beneath its surface. Along the walls, bronze braziers stand ready to receive the charcoal that will supplement the hypocaust heating, their surfaces polished to a warm glow that will reflect and multiply the light of the flames. These too require attention, a gentle cleaning to remove the ash of yesterday's fires, a careful inspection to ensure that their bronze surfaces remain unmarred by corrosion. The rhythm of sweeping continues, steady and meditative, filling the chambers with the soft percussion of bristles against stone. Each room presents its own challenges, its own requirements, but Gaius meets them all with the same patient attention to detail, the same understanding that his work, however humble it might seem, is essential to the functioning of this complex and beautiful space. As he moves from chamber to chamber, I find myself drawn into the hypnotic quality of the work, the way repetitive motion can become a form of prayer, a meditation on the value of service, on the dignity that can be found in even the simplest tasks when they are performed with care and attention. The broom whispers its ancient song across the marble, and the bathhouse slowly awakens to another day of service to the citizens of Rome. The Caldarium awaits beyond a threshold marked by columns of red porphyry, their surfaces polished to mirror brightness, their imperial purple speaking of the wealth and power that built this place. As Gaius crosses into the hot room, the air itself seems to embrace him with gentle warmth, for here the hypocaust system works its most impressive magic, channeling heated air through the hollow walls and beneath the raised floor to create an environment that rivals the warmest summer day. Even in these early hours, before the furnaces have been stoked to their full intensity, the Caldarium holds a residual heat that speaks of the fires that burned through the night. The marble floor, supported on its forest of small pillars, radiates warmth that rises through the soles of sandaled feet, a gentle reminder of the engineering marvel that makes this comfort possible. Beneath these floors, in chambers that few ever see, slaves tend the fires that heat the air, their labor invisible but essential to the luxury enjoyed above. The sweeping here requires a different rhythm, for the warm air creates currents that lift and swirl the dust in patterns that must be anticipated and accommodated. Gaius adjusts his technique with the unconscious skill of long practice, his broom strokes shorter and more deliberate, designed to work with the thermal currents rather than against them. The bristles whisper across the heated marble with a sound that seems somehow softer, more musical, as if the warmth itself has changed the very nature of the sweeping. The pools in the Caldarium are the jewels of the bathhouse, great basins of marble so finely carved that they seem to have been shaped by water itself rather than by human hands. The largest dominates the center of the chamber, its waters kept at a temperature that will soothe tired muscles and open pores, preparing the skin for the oils and strigils that will complete the bathing ritual. Steam rises from its surface in gentle wisps, creating an atmosphere that is both mysterious and inviting. Around the pools, the floor shows the particular wear patterns that speak of countless feet finding their way to the water's edge. Here, the marble has been polished to an even greater smoothness by the passage of wet feet, creating surfaces that gleam like mirrors even in the dim pre-dawn light. Gaius works carefully in these areas, his broom angled to guide any moisture toward the drains that ring each pool, his movements precise to avoid creating the slick spots that might endanger a bather. The walls of the Caldarium are masterworks of decorative art, frescoes that celebrate the warming power of the sun, mosaics that depict scenes of thermal springs and volcanic landscapes, marble panels veined with gold that seem to glow with their own inner fire. Between these decorative elements, bronze fixtures gleam like captured sunlight, hooks for towels and strigils, brackets for oil lamps, the elaborate faucets that control the flow of water into the pools. As he sweeps, I notice how the sound echoes differently in this chamber. The warm air seems to carry the whisper of the broom farther, creating a gentle susurrus that fills the space with purposeful activity. The acoustics, designed to make conversation pleasant even when the room is crowded, now amplify the solitary sound of cleaning into something that seems to awaken the very walls themselves. Steam begins to rise more noticeably from the pools as the hypocaust system responds to the gradual stoking of the furnaces below. The wisps of vapor catch what little light filters through the high windows, creating ephemeral sculptures that form and dissolve in the warming air. There is something almost mystical about these formations, the way they spiral upward toward the vaulted ceiling, the way they seem to dance with currents invisible to the eye, the way they transform the familiar geometry of the chamber into something dreamlike and otherworldly. Gaius pauses in his sweeping to watch a particularly graceful column of steam rise from the central pool, his eyes following its ascent until it dissipates among the painted clouds that decorate the ceiling. In this moment of stillness, I sense his appreciation for the beauty that surrounds him, his understanding that he is not merely cleaning floors, but tending a space that represents the highest achievements of Roman civilization, the marriage of engineering and art, of practical necessity and aesthetic pleasure. The bronze fixtures around the pools require special attention in this humid environment. The warm, moist air accelerates the formation of patina, and while some degree of oxidation is considered beautiful, the green-gold surface that speaks of age and dignity, too much can obscure the intricate details of the metalwork. Gaius sets aside his broom for a moment and retrieves a soft cloth and a small vessel of oil mixed with fine sand, beginning the delicate process of polishing the bronze back to its proper luster. Each fixture tells a story through its decoration. The faucets are shaped like dolphins, their bronze bodies curved in eternal leaps, their mouths serving as spouts for the heated water. The towel hooks take the form of acanthus leaves, their surfaces textured to provide secure grip for wet fabric. The lamp brackets are miniature works of sculpture, depicting scenes from mythology, tritons blowing conch shells, sea nymphs combing their flowing hair, Neptune himself presiding over his aquatic domain. As he works, the oil and sand mixture creates its own gentle sound, a soft scraping that speaks of metal being restored to its intended beauty. The bronze responds to his attention, revealing colors that range from deep gold to warm copper, surfaces that will soon reflect the flames of oil lamps and the faces of bathers seeking relaxation and renewal. The floor around the pools shows the particular patterns of wear that speak of human ritual. Here, where bathers pause before entering the water, the marble is worn to exceptional smoothness. There, where they emerge and reach for towels, small depressions mark the spots where countless feet have found purchase on wet stone. These wear patterns are not flaws, but testimonies, evidence of the bathhouse's success in serving its community, proof of the countless moments of comfort and cleansing that have taken place within these walls. In the corners of the Caldarium, bronze braziers stand ready to supplement the hypocaust heating when the day grows busy and the demand for warmth increases. These vessels, shaped like great bowls supported on tripod legs, will later hold glowing charcoal that will add both heat and a gentle aromatic smoke to the atmosphere. Now they stand empty but expectant, their surfaces polished to mirror brightness, their bronze reflecting the growing steam in wavering patterns that seem to move with lives of their own. The sweeping resumes, but now it is accompanied by the gentle sounds of the building itself awakening. Somewhere in the depths below, I can hear the first stirrings of the furnace slaves beginning their work, the scrape of shovels against stone, the whisper of coal being added to fires, the distant roar of flames being coaxed to greater intensity. These sounds filter up through the hypocaust system, muffled by stone and distance, but still audible to those who know how to listen. The air in the Caldarium continues to warm, and with the rising temperature comes a subtle shift in the quality of light. The steam that rises from the pools seems to glow with its own luminescence, creating an atmosphere that is both intimate and grand, both earthly and ethereal. This is the magic of the Roman bathhouse, the way it transforms the simple act of washing into something approaching the sacred, the way it elevates the care of the body into a ritual worthy of temples. As Gaius completes his circuit of the Caldarium, gathering the last traces of dust and debris into neat piles that will be swept into bronze dustpans and carried away, I am struck by the transformation that has taken place. What began as a chamber filled with shadows and silence has become a space alive with warmth and possibility, ready to receive the citizens who will soon arrive to begin their daily ritual of cleansing and renewal. The pools reflect the growing light from their still surfaces, creating patterns of ripples that dance across the painted ceiling. The bronze fixtures gleam with renewed luster, ready to serve their functions with both beauty and efficiency. The marble floors shine with the particular cleanliness that comes from careful attention, from work performed not merely as duty, but as devotion to the ideal of public service. In this moment, as the Caldarium settles into its state of perfect readiness, I feel the deep satisfaction that comes from witnessing preparation completed with skill and care. The room waits now for the human drama that will soon unfold within its walls, the conversations and contemplations, the moments of solitude and sociability that make the Roman bathhouse not merely a place of hygiene, but a cornerstone of civilized life. Beyond the Caldarium lies a chamber that speaks to the more intimate aspects of the bathing ritual, the space where Romans will perform the careful scraping and oiling that transforms mere washing into an art form. Here, wooden benches line the walls like pews in a temple, their surfaces worn smooth by countless bodies that have reclined upon them while undergoing the ministrations of skilled attendants or performing their own careful ablutions. The air in this chamber carries a different quality of scent, the rich golden aroma of olive oil that has been infused with herbs and flowers, the faint mineral tang of the pumice stones used for scrubbing, the clean smell of linen towels that have been washed in the Tiber and dried in Mediterranean sunshine. It is a perfume that speaks of luxury and care, of a civilization that has elevated the maintenance of the human body to the level of sacred ritual. Gaius enters this space with the same methodical attention he has brought to the other chambers, but here his work takes on additional dimensions. The sweeping must be more careful, for the floors are often slick with spilled oils, and the debris includes not just dust and ordinary detritus, but the more intimate remnants of the bathing process, fragments of pumice worn away by scrubbing, drops of oil that have hardened into small amber beads, even the occasional strigil that has been forgotten by its owner. The strigils themselves are works of art as much as tools of hygiene. These bronze implements, shaped like elongated spoons with curved edges, are designed to scrape oil and dirt from the skin with maximum efficiency and minimum discomfort. They hang from bronze hooks along the walls, their surfaces gleaming with the patina of age and use, their handles worn smooth by countless hands. Each one bears the subtle variations that mark handcrafted objects, slight differences in curve and weight that make each tool unique, perfectly suited to its owner's grip and technique. As he sweeps around the benches, Gaius pauses to straighten the strigils that have been displaced during the previous day's activities. His movements are gentle, respectful of these tools that represent such an essential part of Roman life. The bronze is warm to the touch, having absorbed the ambient heat of the chamber, and each implement seems to nestle naturally into his palm as he returns it to its proper position. The benches themselves require special attention. Their wooden surfaces, though sealed with oil and wax, absorb the moisture and oils of daily use, creating a patina that must be carefully maintained. Too much oil, and the surface becomes dangerously slick. Too little, and the wood dries and cracks, creating splinters that could injure delicate skin. Gaius retrieves a soft cloth and a small vessel of oil mixed with aromatic herbs, beginning the delicate process of cleaning and conditioning each bench. The oil he uses is not the crude pressing of olives, but a refined preparation that has been filtered and scented with lavender from the hills outside Rome, with rose petals from Damascus, with mint from the gardens of wealthy villas. As he works the oil into the wood with gentle circular motions, the scent rises to fill the chamber with an aroma that speaks of luxury and refinement, of a culture that finds beauty in even the most practical necessities. Along the walls, niches hold the various implements of the bathing ritual: bronze vessels for holding oils, pumice stones of different grades for various types of scrubbing, sea sponges that have been brought from the distant shores of the Mediterranean. Each item has its place, its purpose, its role in the complex choreography of Roman cleansing. Gaius checks each niche, ensuring that nothing has been displaced, that every tool is clean and ready for use. The pumice stones fascinate me with their paradoxical nature, rough enough to scrub away the accumulated grime of daily life, yet gentle enough to leave the skin smooth and unmarked. They come from the volcanic regions around Vesuvius, their porous surfaces created by the same forces that occasionally remind Romans of the earth's hidden power. Each stone is unique, shaped by fire and cooled by air, then selected and graded by merchants who understand the subtle differences that make one stone perfect for delicate facial skin, while another is better suited to the rougher work of cleaning calloused feet. The bronze vessels that hold the oils are masterworks of the metalworker's art. Some are simple and functional, their beauty lying in the purity of their lines and the warmth of their golden surfaces. Others are elaborate creations decorated with scenes from mythology, Venus rising from the sea foam, Diana hunting in moonlit forests, Bacchus presiding over harvest festivals. The oils they contain range from the simple olive pressings used for basic cleansing to exotic preparations imported from the far reaches of the empire, almond oil from Syria, sesame oil from Egypt, even the precious balsam that comes from the gardens of Judea. As he works, Gaius occasionally pauses to test the oils, ensuring that none have gone rancid in the humid atmosphere of the bathhouse. His nose, trained by years of experience, can detect the first hint of spoilage that would make an oil unsuitable for use on human skin. Those that have passed their prime are set aside for other uses: fuel for lamps, treatment for leather, conditioning for the wooden implements that require regular maintenance. The floor in this chamber presents its own challenges. The marble, though beautiful, becomes treacherous when coated with oil, and Gaius must work carefully to clean away the spills without creating hazardous conditions for the bathers who will soon arrive. He uses a technique passed down through generations of bathhouse attendants, a mixture of fine sand and ash that absorbs the oil while providing enough texture to prevent slipping. The ash comes from the furnaces that heat the building, but not just any ash will do. It must be from hardwood fires, burned completely to a fine white powder that contains no unburned fragments that might scratch delicate skin. The sand is equally specific, not the coarse grit from construction sites, but fine particles that have been sifted and washed until they are as smooth as silk. As he spreads this mixture across the oiled areas of the floor, then sweeps it up with careful strokes of his broom, I watch the transformation take place. The treacherous, slick surfaces become safe and clean, ready to receive bare feet without danger. The mixture absorbs not only the oil, but also the various scents that have accumulated, leaving behind a clean, neutral aroma that will not compete with the carefully chosen fragrances of the day's bathing preparations. The work is methodical, meditative, requiring the kind of attention that transforms labor into something approaching art. Each stroke of the broom must be precisely angled, each application of the sand and ash mixture carefully measured. Too much, and the floor becomes gritty and uncomfortable. Too little, and the oil remains to create hazardous conditions. As the cleaning progresses, the chamber gradually reveals its true character, not merely a utilitarian space for hygiene, but a sanctuary dedicated to the Roman ideal of physical perfection, a place where the body is treated with the same reverence that others might reserve for the soul. The gleaming bronze implements, the carefully conditioned wooden benches, the spotless marble floors, all speak to a civilization that understands the connection between physical cleanliness and spiritual well-being. The final task in this chamber is the arrangement of fresh towels, brought from the laundry where they have been washed in the flowing waters of the Tiber and dried in the warm Italian sun. These are not the rough fabrics used by the poor, but fine linen woven from flax grown in the fertile fields of Egypt, soft as silk and absorbent as sea sponges. Gaius folds each towel with care, arranging them in neat stacks that speak of order and preparation, of a space ready to serve the needs of citizens who expect nothing less than perfection from their public facilities. The first true light of dawn begins to filter through the high windows of the bathhouse as Gaius completes his circuit of the inner chambers and moves toward the final spaces that require his attention. The quality of illumination has shifted from the deep blue-black of night to the softer grey that speaks of sunrise approaching, though the sun itself remains hidden behind the hills that ring the eternal city. Through the oculus that crowns the main hall, a shaft of pale light descends like a blessing from the gods, illuminating the geometric patterns of the mosaic floor in colours that seem to glow with their own inner fire. The tesserae, tiny cubes of marble, glass, and precious stone, catch and reflect this early light, creating a display that rivals the most elaborate frescoes in their beauty and complexity. The courtyard beyond the main hall awaits his attention, and as Gaius pushes open the bronze doors that separate the interior from the open air, the cool breath of morning flows into the building like a gentle sigh. Here, under the gradually lightening sky, a different kind of beauty reveals itself. The austere elegance of Roman architecture married to the natural grace of carefully tended gardens. The courtyard is paved with the same precision that marks the interior floors, but here the marble is arranged in patterns that complement rather than compete with the plantings that soften the geometric severity of the stone. Olive trees, their silver-green leaves stirring in the morning breeze, provide shade for the benches where bathers will later sit to cool themselves after their heated ablutions. Between the trees, carefully tended beds hold herbs that will be harvested for the oils and unguents used in the bathing rituals: lavender and rosemary, mint and thyme. Each plant chosen not only for its practical properties, but for its contribution to the sensory experience of the bathhouse. A fountain occupies the center of the courtyard, its bronze dolphins frozen in eternal play as water arcs from their mouths into a basin carved from a single block of Carrara marble. The sound of falling water creates a gentle music that will mask the conversations of bathers, providing the acoustic privacy that Romans value in their public spaces. Now, in the pre-dawn quiet, the fountain's song seems to fill the entire courtyard with its liquid melody. The sweeping here requires a different technique, for the courtyard collects not only the usual dust and debris, but also the natural detritus of the garden: fallen leaves, flower petals, the occasional twig blown down by wind. Gaius works with the same methodical patience he has shown throughout the building, but here his movements must accommodate the irregular surfaces created by the plantings, the gentle slopes that direct rainwater toward hidden drains. As he works, the light continues to strengthen, revealing details that had been hidden in the darkness. The frescoes on the courtyard walls, protected from weather by deep overhangs, depict scenes of pastoral life. Shepherds tending their flocks in Arcadian meadows, farmers harvesting grain under benevolent skies, fishermen drawing nets full of silver fish from wine-dark seas. These images speak to the Roman love of the countryside, the nostalgia for simpler times that persists even in the heart of the world's greatest city. The bronze fixtures in the courtyard, lampstands, decorative urns, the elaborate mechanism that controls the fountain, show the effects of exposure to the elements. The patina here is deeper, richer, speaking of seasons of rain and sun, of the natural processes that give bronze its distinctive beauty. Gaius tends to these fixtures with the same care he has shown throughout the building, but here his work takes on an additional dimension as he must balance preservation with the natural aging that gives outdoor bronze its character. From somewhere beyond the courtyard walls comes the first sound of the city awakening, the distant call of a rooster, the creak of cart wheels on cobblestones, the faint murmur of voices as early risers begin their daily routines. These sounds seem to awaken something in the bathhouse itself, as if the building has been waiting for this signal to complete its own transformation from sleeping monument to living space. The hypocaust system responds to the increasing activity in the furnace rooms below, and wisps of steam begin to rise from the heated pools in the interior chambers. The air itself seems to shimmer with warmth, creating the perfect environment for the bathing rituals that will soon commence. The careful balance of temperatures, cool in the frigidarium, warm in the tepidarium, hot in the Caldarium, represents one of the finest achievements of Roman engineering, a system so sophisticated that it will not be equaled for more than 1,000 years after the fall of the empire. As the light strengthens, I can see the first figures beginning to move in the streets beyond the bathhouse. A baker hurries past with loaves still warm from his ovens, their golden crusts catching the early light. A water carrier makes his rounds, his bronze vessels gleaming as he fills the cisterns that serve the neighborhood. These are the early workers, the ones whose labors begin before dawn, so that the city might wake to find its needs already anticipated and met. Gaius completes his sweeping of the courtyard and returns to the interior for the final preparations. The oil lamps must be filled and their wicks trimmed, ready to provide illumination when the sun sets and the evening bathers arrive. The bronze vessels that hold the various oils and unguents must be checked one final time, their contents stirred to ensure proper consistency, their surfaces polished to mirror brightness. In the apoditerium, he arranges the wooden tokens that bathers will use to claim their belongings. Small discs of olive wood, each carved with a different symbol, each representing a specific locker where togas and tunics will be stored while their owners enjoy the pleasures of the bath. These tokens, worn smooth by countless hands, represent the democratic nature of the Roman bathhouse. Here, senator and shopkeeper, soldier and scribe, all are equal in their humanity, all deserving of the same care and attention. The sound of sandaled feet on cobblestones grows more frequent now, and through the windows I can see the first potential customers beginning to gather near the entrance. They move with the unhurried pace of those who understand that the bathhouse is not merely a place of hygiene, but a social institution, a space where the business of the day can be conducted in comfort and privacy, where friendships are maintained and alliances formed over the shared ritual of cleansing. Among the early arrivals, I recognize the familiar figures who make the bathhouse part of their daily routine. There is Marcus, the grain merchant, whose business requires him to be at the docks before the sun is fully risen, but who never begins his day without the ritual of the bath. Beside him stands Lucius, a retired centurion whose scarred hands speak of campaigns in distant provinces, but whose gentle manner with the bath attendants reveals the civilized man beneath the warrior's exterior. The women's section of the bathhouse, separated from the men's quarters by thick walls that ensure privacy, shows signs of similar preparation. Through the connecting passages used by the staff, I can glimpse the female attendants completing their own preparations, arranging the special oils and cosmetics that cater to feminine needs, preparing the bronze mirrors that will reflect faces made radiant by the cleansing process, setting out the delicate strigils designed for more tender skin. As the moment of opening approaches, Gaius makes his final circuit of the building, his trained eye checking for any detail that might have been overlooked. A bronze fixture that needs one more touch of polish, a marble surface that shows the faintest trace of moisture, a towel that has shifted from its perfect arrangement. All receive his attention with the same care he has shown throughout the morning. The furnaces below have reached their full intensity now, and the hypocaust system hums with the circulation of heated air. The pools have achieved their perfect temperatures. The steam rises in graceful columns from their surfaces, and the entire building seems to pulse with warmth and life. The transformation is complete. What began as a cold, empty shell has become a living temple dedicated to the care of the human body. From the entrance comes the sound of the bronze locks being turned, the heavy doors swinging open on their well-oiled hinges. The first customers enter with the reverence of worshippers approaching an altar, their voices dropping to the hushed tones appropriate to a sacred space. The day's first ritual of cleansing is about to begin, and the bathhouse stands ready to receive them with all the luxury and comfort that Roman civilization can provide. Gaius retreats to his small chamber near the furnace rooms, his work complete for another day. But his labor has been more than mere cleaning. It has been an act of devotion to the Roman ideal of public service, a contribution to the complex machinery of civilization that makes possible the daily miracle of the bathhouse. Through his careful attention to detail, his patient preparation of every surface and fixture, he has helped to create a space where the citizens of Rome can experience the full flowering of their culture's commitment to physical and spiritual well-being. The sun has finally crested the hills that ring the city, sending long shafts of golden light through the high windows of the bathhouse. The marble floors gleam with perfect cleanliness, the bronze fixtures shine with renewed luster, and the pools reflect the morning light from their still surfaces. Steam rises in graceful columns from the heated chambers, and the air itself seems to shimmer with warmth and possibility. In this moment of perfect readiness, as the first bathers begin to disrobe and prepare for their daily ritual of cleansing, I feel the deep satisfaction that comes from witnessing preparation completed with skill and devotion. The ancient rhythm of Roman life continues, marked not by the urgency of modern existence, but by the patient attention to detail that transforms necessity into luxury, hygiene into art, and the simple act of washing into a celebration of what it means to be civilized. The bathhouse lives and breathes around its first customers of the day, its marble walls warm with captured sunlight, its pools perfect in their temperature and clarity, its every surface prepared with the care that speaks to the Roman understanding that the body is a temple deserving of the finest attention. And in the gentle whisper of water flowing through bronze pipes, in the soft echo of voices raised in quiet conversation, in the very air that carries the scent of oils and herbs, the spirit of Rome itself seems to dwell, eternal and unchanging, a testament to the enduring power of civilization to elevate the human experience beyond mere survival into something approaching the divine. The scroll is closed now, the room is quiet, the candles are low. Rest if you wish, and know the quiet never truly leaves. Until next time, this has been Yawn Through Time. Subscribe for more.